So I just got back from seeing Furiosa in the IMAX theater, and boy howdy, what a trip. I want to get into the movie as quickly as possible. I want to keep this review somewhat brief as best as I possibly can. I'm going to spoil a couple of things. If you don't want to hear spoilers, if you truly want to see this movie in theaters, please go see it in theaters. It's really good. With that being said, if you do happen to see this in theaters, just like Fury Road, I want you to keep in mind that George Miller, the director of this movie, he did Happy Feet and Babe. And for those of you who don't know Babe, look it up, stop this review, watch Babe right now. Anyway, with that said, this movie was pretty freaking fun. This movie, so I'm just gonna give a brief opinion on what I think about the Mad Max series. I will be honest, the first three Mad Max I've only seen once, and that was when I was really young, so I don't remember much from them. Fury Road, however, I've seen a great number of times during the pandemic. Granted, it took me a little bit to get into it, but over time, the more I watched it, the more I just kind of greatly went like, okay, this movie's pretty freaking excellent. And Furiosa, okay, I'm gonna be honest here, it obviously doesn't hold any type of candle towards Fury Road. Fury Road is just, like, it's damn near flawless. Furiosa is not flawless by an extent, and I'll get more into that in just a second, but it is a pretty damn good movie and a great prequel, in my opinion, to Fury Road. It's not perfect. There are a couple of areas that are just a bit wonky. For instance, obviously the movie starts off kind of almost similar to how Fury Road starts off with, but then you get a weird noise, almost like an engine rumble. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. And then you get the title card, and if you've seen the trailer, you literally get the same animation of the title card just kind of thrust right in front of you. And I was like, oh, it was a weird edit. And then the movie goes on from there and kind of begins almost how Fury Road began. Watch is going crazy. I apologize about that. Okay, let's start with obviously how the film's structured. They do the movie in chapters, and it takes some time getting used to, and they do take their time with this. Like young Furiosa, I mean, you don't get Anya Taylor-Joy's appearance in this film until, I don't know, maybe an hour into the film. Maybe an hour into the movie, I would say, is when you officially see Anya Taylor-Joy. And although she doesn't speak a whole lot of lines, she does a really good job here. I do like Anya Taylor-Joy as an actress. She's really good in my opinion. There are times where I seriously thought, you know, she's not Charlize Theron, obviously. She's not playing she's not playing Furiosa, unfortunately. But it's not like she's doing an impression, but there are times where I'm just like, whoa, you look and sound like almost like Charlize Theron, which is really cool in my opinion. Chris Hemsworth, he's having a ball, he's having the time of his life. I really like what he brung to this. Like, he brought his A game to this villain. He had obviously there's like a backstory to him, and you don't get a whole lot. It's kind of like picked up on dialogue, in the dialogue a bit, and that's really all you get. You don't get a whole lot from him, but you just get an idea. Like, he's really sympathetic, but you also can't help but despise him. Oh man, I apologize, I'm all discombobulated. Like I said, I watched this in the IMAX theater. It was loud as all balls, so my ears are all kinds of messed up right now, but boy howdy, was it awesome. So, let's start. I'm trying to think of where. I'll start off with my praises. Obviously, the movie's action is really freaking good. It is phenomenally good. There is a lot of really cool moments here. There is a lot of just fantastic action sequences, just all, just nuts to butts, balls to the walls, just thrilling. And it's 2.5 hours, but the pace really just picks up the second the movie begins. As the movie keeps on going, it just keeps on picking up its pace. Almost down to the point where the last 30 minutes, I'll get more into this later, where the last 30 minutes, they just flew by. It was insane to me. Most of the really cool thing about this is if you've seen Fury Road and all those questions you have about certain characters, it's really cool how they bring basically everyone back, obviously with the exception of Max. I'll get into that again in just a little bit. With the exception of Max, and obviously, Charlize Theron as Furiosa, but Furiosa's presence is here, which is really cool. But every character comes back, essentially. And that I really do appreciate. It is a bit strange, and maybe that's the point. Granted, I haven't seen, Fury Road in about a month. I really wish I watched Fury Road before I watched this movie, but it's fine. I knew a lot what happened in Fury Road before I watched this movie, so I wanted to keep it at least somewhat fresh in my mind, but I really do wish I truly saw it before I watched the movie. But anyway, the film's action is really good. The story is also pretty good. I will say, so I'm gonna spoil a little bit here. The last 30 minutes for me is where the film truly picks up. This film, now throughout the film, I'll get more into this in the negatives. Now throughout the film, it has a different look to it, but once you hit that climax, it's just constant. It just keeps moving, keeping you engaged. It just keeps pressing forward, keeping you invested as well as excited. The color palette changes is almost exactly like Fury Road. I was transported to 2015 when Fury Road first came out, which was really freaking cool. Cameos galore at this point because you see, Morton Joe's truck from the first movie. You see the freaking flaming guitar guy. You see Furiosa's car, obviously. She's wearing her iconic stuff. And it's really cool. And the end, literally ends almost exactly where Fury Road picks up. Spoiler alert, I apologize, but I did warn you. And if you're worried about Mad Max being in this film, don't. There is a lot of Mad Max style moments in here that it didn't feel out of place. It felt like it belonged in universe. It felt consistent with each and every film. Even though I haven't seen the original 3 in quite some time, I get the feel of them. And you still get that feel with this movie. If you know the opening shot of Mad Max, there is a shot in this movie, and you know exactly what character you're looking at, just based on the car, where the camera is placed, and what the character looks like. It's a really cool moment. I'm kind of disappointed my theater didn't react to it, but that's besides the point. Now, let's get into the negatives, because although I do feel like this film is good, it's not as great as Fury Road, unfortunately. It is, something's holding me back. I'll get into the biggest reason why it's holding me back, but one of the reasons why it's holding me back is the fact that the way the story is structured, it's really weird. I like how they did it in chapters, but I feel like chapters didn't really do a whole lot. If people watch this review and disagree with me, that's fine. Please let me know how you interpreted the chapters. I just felt like they were a little bit weird. Also, the way the film began, I felt like, and this is a compliment as well as a criticism, I like how it does throw you in to the plot basically right away. You barely get any time at the green place or anything. You just get, there's just a sense of urgency, and it just throws you right in to Furiosa's kidnapping, and that's all well and good. But it was a little bit, it felt really weird the way the film was kind of playing off. It felt almost rushed, but that didn't matter essentially, because then the film just kept on getting more and more action-packed, relentless, and brutal, and it was just an all-around fun time. Now, biggest issue, this is going to come across as pretentious and even a little bit silly. I'm going to be honest here. The CGI in this, I really tried to give the CGI a shot in this. And you're obviously going to be comparing this to Fury Road, but my God in heaven, the CGI in this was either, specifically in the end, like I said, with the color palette, it changes completely, and there are moments where it has some gorgeous cinematography. Even throughout the film, it has gorgeous cinematography, but also throughout the film, there is just some of the worst, like some of the ugliest CGI I've seen in any modern film in quite some time. Specifically with one of the sequences in the desert, and I think there was a clip of this. If you could somehow find it, good on you. But yeah, specifically with the war rig sequences, it was really horrible. Like, it almost looked like a video game, and you can tell when something is CGI. And this film, and I'd say the worst of it, got to a certain point where when they went to the Citadel from the first movie, you probably have no idea what I'm talking about, but where they go to the Citadel from the first movie, and when obviously all the big bads, that's the other thing that's kind of like weird, the fact that all of the big bads from Fury Road, whereas they were all separate from each other, in this film, they're all together. So it kind of feels weird, but at the same time, it's kind of like, whatever. It's like, oh, okay. But, where all the big bads come walking out, and I shit you not, pardon my French, it looked photoshopped in. It was just like, it was obviously like, the big Fury Road type of, Immortan Joe logo. I need to know my nomenclature for all the Furios, for all the Mad Max Fury Road terminology here, but if you know what I'm talking about, if you've seen Fury Road, and you know that like big mountain basically carved into it and everything, when the characters step out, and they step out into the sun, mind you, it looks photoshopped in. It looked so cartoony, so fake. I almost just groaned in the theater because of how bad it looked. There is even like certain types of like pipes as well, where it looks like it's the same director of Happy Feet, and I swear it must have been intentional, because the pipes looked like animation from the Happy Feet movie when they were animating like the boats or something. It was really goofy, and it really hurt the movie, because you just notice, it's CGI, down to the point where I'm just like, it doesn't look real. It's not as engrossing as Fury Road's action, where, you're just impressed of how real it looks. This one, you're just like, wow, this looks remarkably fake, which is disappointing considering the fact that I know George Miller shot most of this, I'm sure, on location. It's disappointing, and it does hurt the movie, unfortunately. I will say this, if you're worried about this film being like, Furiosa being like, I'm better than you, don't worry. She's not like that at all. She's not like She-Hulk, where she just basically says, oh, I'm better than you, and I know I am. She's just a genuinely good character. It's a good movie. It's just an all-around fun time. I've said enough with this. I want to keep this as brief as possible. Obviously, it's been 15 minutes, but with that being said, the film is really good. It's a good prequel. Even though I spoiled most of it, I don't want to give too much away, other than the fact that everything about this film, apart from some of the CGI and a little bit of the story decisions, this is an all-around fun time at the movies. It's not perfect by any means. It can't hold a candle to Fury Road, but it's still it's worth your time. It's worth your money. Seeing it in IMAX if you can afford it, and it's, available in your town. If you're watching my videos, and if you're in Loveland, Colorado, then you got an IMAX theater pretty close by you. See it in a decent theater. It's a all-around fun time at the movies. So that's about it. See ya.